there was some folks in the green room and they saw me take out like a pill from my backpack and like eat it. And they got really excited. They're like, "Oh, what do you have there?" And it was Tums.
How to survive the classroom.
Hey, teacher besties. I am so excited to share with you that my book, They Never Taught Us That, is available for pre-order right now. It is everything inexperienced first-year teachers need to manage the chaos of the modern classroom, including some anecdotes to make you feel a little bit better, because if there is a way you can screw up, I have probably done it. It also has advice on how to build trust with families, how to manage grading and lesson plans and IEPs and everything in between that they never went over in your teacher prep program. They Never Taught Us That is available everywhere right now for pre-order. Hey, teacher besties. Welcome to How to Survive the Classroom. I barely survived the end of last week because I almost died of shame. And let me tell you why. So, I am someone who has tummy troubles, like most comedians. Like, if you go backstage at a comedy show, like every comic is just blowing up the bathroom right before they go up. I have lots and lots of stories of touring with Gasper and Phil and all of those issues. So I have tummy troubles, but then on top of that, I recently took a bunch of antibiotics because I had an infection, and then I was like, well, I need to replace the bacteria with good bacteria. Okay. And so I was like, let me go get some kombucha. Great kombucha place in town, owned by like this sweet local family. I'm like, I'm a health queen. This is who I am now. I am an icon and a legend within the health and fitness community. And so I got this really fantastic, like it was like an orange kombucha icy kind of a situation. And I just like chugged it, right? And then I took a nap when I got home because I was also tired. So I consumed a bunch of healthy bacteria, took a nap, and then it was time to pick up my kids. And so I went and got in the car, and I only live like 13 minutes from my kids' school. Okay, that's it. So 26 minutes round trip. I arrive at the school. By the time I am there, because pretty much as soon as I pulled out of my driveway, I started to feel like the gurgle, right? And I was like, oh no. And I'm driving to the school. I swear every single parent wanted to have a 10-minute conversation with the pickup guy today or that day. And I was like, guys, we need to wrap this up. I'm actively sweating at this point. Physically sweat pouring down my face. My air conditioner is on, even though it's 50 degrees outside. I'm sweating. I don't even roll down the window. I normally yap a little bit, say, hey, how are you to the guy? I was like, don't talk to me. So I get my kids, we get in the car, and I'm like, I can't go in there to like blow up the bathroom at my kids' school. Like all of these teachers know me. I can't do that to them. They don't get paid enough to have to live through that experience. So I was like, I can make it home. It's only 13 minutes, guys. So I'm driving, and as I'm driving, it's getting worse, right? I'm doing that thing where I'm shifting position to hope that I can keep my butt cheeks closed so that I don't end up pooping in my car. Because on top of that, I knew I was about to go on a road trip that very night all the way to another state, and I was going to have Gasper and Phil in the car as well. And I'm like, I don't want to have to explain why it smells like raw sewage in my vehicle. So I'm like, I can't do this. So I see a gas station. I was like, okay, I have to stop. I have to stop. And so I told my kids, I was like, guys, my stomach really hurts. I have to go in there and poop. I'm going to leave the car running. Don't talk to any strangers. And I get out of the car and I like lock the doors, right? And I go in, I'm like, unlock it when I come back. The car is like still running. It's parked. And I go to the bathroom, absolutely obliterated. I'm so sorry to that sweet little mom and pop market that I just destroyed. I really do apologize for that. And I come out and I see that, you know how like there's those big semi trucks that refill the gas at gas stations. And there is a guy who was standing out there when we arrived who was filling the tanks at the gas station. And his face is bright red and he's curled over, like gasping for air in laughter. And I noticed that my son has rolled down his window in the back of the car. And I'm like, oh no. So I get in the car and I look and I see that the truck driver's looking at me, still trying to catch his breath. And I was like, guys. And my daughter goes, Mom, he embarrassed you so much. And I was like, what do you mean? Like talking about my son. I don't want to say his name, but he embarrassed you so much, Mom. I'm so sorry. And I was like, what? "Hey, bud, what did you say?" And he's like, "Well, you know how you told us not to talk to strangers?" And I was like, "Yes." He's like, "I asked that man over there if he was a good stranger or a bad stranger." And I was like, "Mhm, mhm." And he said he's a good stranger." And I was like, "Oh, bud." I was like, "Okay, and then what?" And he's like, "Well," and then I said, "Okay, if you're a good stranger, I can tell you this, but it's a secret, and I'm only telling you this because you're my best friend." He's telling this to a random good old boy truck driver who is putting gas into the gas station pumps. Just this random burly guy who's just going throughout his day. And my son has decided they are best friends because when my son asked him if he was a good stranger or a bad stranger, he said, "I'm a good stranger." And then my son goes and says, "Okay, I'm only telling you this because you're my best friend. My mom is pooping right now. She's pooping so much. Her stomach was hurting, so we had to come over here, and it's a secret, so you can't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone, but my mom right now, she's pooping right now. It's so bad." She said it hurts so bad, and so that's why we're here, but you can't tell anybody because it's a secret. Do you promise you won't tell anyone? And this man is like, "Yes." So as my son is regaling me with this tale, I see the man is like stops doing what he's doing. He's like coming over and he's he's like, "Hi there, ma'am." And I was like, "Hello?" And he's like, "Did he tell you what he shared with me?" And I was like, "Yep." He said, "Yep." I was like, "All right." And he's like, "Did it all come out all right?" I was like, "Yup." He's like, "Okay. You have a nice day, ma'am." And I was like, salute, like, thanks, bud. Thanks, friend. And we just and as I'm like pulling out, he's like, "It made my day." And I said, "I bet it did." Like, my son is just out there telling my business to the world with no regard for my dignity. And like, yes, I know I am also sharing my business with the world, but I just could not get over that. I was like, "Oh my gosh, child, you can't be telling people that." That's that. And also, by the way, you bad strangers aren't going to say that they're bad strangers. Like, we had a big conversation about that, like, on top of also don't tell everyone our business, but like don't introduce yourself to strangers asking them if they're good or bad. This child, you guys, I cannot with him. So my dignity unfortunately was gone after that point. If I had any scrape of dignity left, we resolved that very, very quickly. And we had our shows this weekend in Columbus, Ohio, and Pittsburgh for the Teachers Lounge, and we ended up selling out both, which was absolutely insane. There were such good shows. We had such a good time. Once again, we had our buddy Jerry, who came all the way from North Carolina to be our opener for the shows, and it was so much fun. He absolutely killed it, and it just man, we have so much fun at these shows. They just bring so much joy to all of us that we get to hang out and meet everybody. So thank you to everyone who came to those shows. It was so much fun. Unfortunately, the travel situation was outrageous because right now, hopefully by the time you're listening to this, the government has reopened, but right now it's still not. And so it took Phil 26 hours to get home to Phoenix from Pittsburgh. My husband and I, like I said, we drove in thankfully a non-sewage filled car. And then Gasper ended up driving as well because he was about like another 6 hours back to getting into into New York City. But I have to tell you guys, before we go into the voice memos, in order for Gasper to get there, he ended up having to fly to Cincinnati. Unfortunately, like there was FFA issues, all of that. Like there was like all of that stuff, right? Wait, FFA, that's not right. That's Future Farmers of America. What's the flight one? I don't know. FAA. Sorry, the disrespect. And so Gasper ended up having to travel to Cincinnati. It is, guys, I have to be so genuinely honest about this. It's so good that this stuff happened to the guys and not to me because they both, even when they're very tired, are still very nice people. When I'm that tired, I'm not a nice person. Unfortunately, I really try to be, but like I just start to cry and like put a hoodie on and like hide away. So Gasper has already been traveling for like I don't know how many hours, but he ended up taking an Uber from Cincinnati to Columbus, which is a 2-hour Uber with 3 other strangers that he just yapped with, and he told me, like, he arrived at the hotel 5 a.m. the day of our show after traveling all night, and then he got to the hotel, and they wouldn't let him in because technically it was the next day, and so check-in wasn't till later, so he ended up coming in, and he ended up helping the people at the hotel set up breakfast because that was the time he got there, and I'm like, you and I could not be more different. If I show up to a hotel and they tell me I can't check into my room yet, the way I would be a very I'm not helping you with anything. Like both genuinely are so nice. And like I said, like Phil, it took 26 hours for him to get home, and he was telling us about all these people who like chatted with him cuz now Phil is like got such a huge platform. Like he's just blown up over the last year. So now he's like too famous to have a meltdown in public. Like he would end up on the news now if he has a huge meltdown in public. And I was like, it's a good thing you're a nice guy because it would end up on the news for sure if you had a meltdown at this stage. Like you get recognized everywhere we go. And it is really, really fun getting to see both of the guys getting recognized. And like, there's a lot of moms that get very like fangirlish around Phil in particular because their kids are obsessed with them and they watch his stuff all the time. And so they'll be like shaking when they take pictures with him and stuff. And I think it's just the absolute sweet. And he's always so, so kind to everybody. But it is funny because like I unfortunately, like if I have a platform that big, I'm gonna get canceled at least once because I'm gonna be like crying in the corner of an airport and they'd be like, Educator Andrea has a breakdown. Be like, I'm sorry, I only slept 7 hours last night. Very tired. Oh my gosh. Speaking of breakdowns, I want to hear about what was going on in your guys' classroom this week. So let's go ahead and listen to the first voice memo.
I need a new backpack, special ed teacher here. I travel the building. I'm never in the same place. I had students come down to my fifth period to work with me on missing English work and astronomy work. And at the end of the day, I pack up my stuff and pull out a ski mask that is surely not mine, but definitely belongs to one of the juniors that sat with me because he thought my backpack was his backpack. Whoops.
Oh no. Oh no, no. No, no, no. That feels like something that you are gonna have to talk about in a court case after you get a summons to go and testify. That was always my fear too with like cuz I know there are teachers that are like, "I'm going to go through your backpack." I'm absolutely not going to go through your backpack. I will live in absolute ignorance of whatever is in your backpack cuz I don't want to see a ski mask, I don't want to see a vape, I don't want to see any of that kind of stuff because that is nope, nope, nope. As soon as you know, as a mandated reporter, you're going to have to snitch. And like there are certain times where I'm like, okay, it's like I'm glad I know so that I can make sure the kid is healthy, safe, stuff like that. Something like that. Mm, mm, because there's a lot of things that like it could be maybe he was going skiing and he was just covering his face, depending on where you were. Also, can we have a shout out for the teachers who are traveling teachers? So she said that she has a backpack that she travels around the school with. I had that before, so I actually used a diaper bag, which was amazing. Highly recommend if you're a travel teacher because I will never forget. It was like the second day of school, and my administrator, who I've had on here before, Mr. Williams, came and saw me, and he's like, "Hey, Andrea, I got to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay, right?" Because if the admin's coming to you and pulling you aside, you're like, "What?" He's like, we're gonna have to take your classroom," and I'm like, "Mm, okay." Okay. Okay. Because what are you going to do? Nothing. You can't do anything. I was like, okay. He's like, you're going to be on a cart this year. And I'm like, okay, great. So they gave me a cart. I had to move all of the resources that I needed for every class onto the cart. But then my classes were like upstairs, downstairs, upstairs. So that meant I would have to take the cart, go on an elevator, get through all these kids, all of that. It's just an absolute disaster. So I ended up just using a giant diaper bag, which did hold all of the bare minimum. And then most of the stuff, was kind of online and all that. So I basically needed my laptop, any papers that I'd collected, all of that stuff. And then I just parked the cart in the teacher's lounge and called it good. So if you are a teacher who travels, highly recommend a diaper bag. Regardless of whether or not you're a man or a woman, they have some like cool looking, more masculine ones if that's what you're looking for. But they do have some really great diaper bags that you can use for that. So that way, also, I don't think anyone's going to mistake your diaper bag as their backpack. That is probably not going to be an issue that you face. It's so funny too. I was just thinking about that this weekend. So Guys, I think I've been fairly clear about the fact I lived a very sheltered life, I would say, growing up, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, where I was not offered any drugs at all by anyone until I was living in Germany for a year after I graduated high school. Okay. Well, no, they didn't offer me. I'm trying to remember. Like I had some friends who smoked clove cigarettes, which, the millennials, you guys get it. The vapes of the millennial generation. They were smoking clove cigarettes, but I was never offered a clove cigarette ever, but they were like around me, but I wasn't actually around marijuana until I think I was like 19 years old living in Germany. And one of the people I hung out with there was like, "Do you want to smoke some marijuana?" And I was like, "The DARE program has prepared me for this moment." And I was like, "Absolutely not." Right. I was like, "Should I also go into like, this is your brain? This is your brain on drugs almost." Right. Because you also, those of you who are too young to remember, there was also this whole movement that happened in this era where like you could be straight edge is what they called it. Like they branded it as like you're sober. It's like the sober culture that was also kind of hardcore because you also listened to like screamo music and you didn't get high and you didn't get drunk. And so you were like straight edge, which was like a really cool branding of saying that you didn't do drugs or alcohol, which to me now is like kind of funny that it's like, no, it's like I'm not sober, I'm straight edge. Like it's so funny. And it occurred to me this weekend because I was offered a marijuana vape. Is that what they're called? It's like called a cart something. I see again, still to this day. And like me and the guys like Gasper and Phil and I, none of us do drugs like at all. None of us smoke anything. We don't smoke cigarettes. We don't vape. We don't do weed or like and like there were some folks in the green room and they saw me take out like a pill from my backpack and like eat it. And they got really excited. They're like, "Oh, what do you have there?" And it was Tums. And like the fact that that is the hardest drug that we do in the green rooms before our teachers lounge shows is so funny to me. And like it's pretty much every time and we all have like preferences. Like we all really like the mint Tums specifically. And it's like the most pure green room experience while there are like pictures and paintings of people doing like cocaine on the walls behind us and I'm like, "Would you like a Tums?" It's a hardcore rock star life that we lead on the road there. All right, let's go ahead and listen to the second voice memo sent in this week.
Hey, Queen, big fan. Had to tell you this story. It was my first year at a school I was working at. I was teaching upper elementary, and my toxic teacher habit is rearranging the desks every other day. Not even joking. So I had just rearranged the desk, and a child pulls me out in the hallway after a little while and was like, "I don't want to sit next to this kid anymore." And I was like, "What are you talking about? They're a nice kid. Can you give me a reason why?" They said, I don't know." I was like, "Okay, well, if you can't give me a legitimate reason, no, I'm not going to move the desk." Later on that afternoon, they're doing some independent work. The desks are facing the front of the room. I'm sitting at my kidney table, which is off to the side. So, I get a side view of these kids. I look up and the child that the other kid didn't want to sit next to is masturbating. And I was like, "Hey, we don't do that." Nice and quietly, didn't want to embarrass them. Immediately email the counselor. Their first reaction, I kid you not again. I'm sorry. I beg your finest of pardons, brother. What? So, of course, a conference needs to be had. Thank God I didn't have to be there. The kid's home language was not English. So there was the assistant principal, the counselor, the parent, the child, and our interpreter, all in there having this conversation in two languages. I cannot imagine. And even worse, I felt like a jerk for the child from earlier because, yeah, I'd be uncomfortable telling anybody that that was happening next to me too. So I apologized. um, you know, Considering it was my first year, I just feel like that's something that should have gone in the cume folder. And yes, I did absolutely intend that pun. So just know that elementary is much wilder than people think. Thank you.
Oh, the levels of that. Finding out at the end that that's an elementary class. When you said kidney shaped desk, I thought I was like, is this elementary? And so if you guys don't know what a cum folder is, CUM is usually what it'll say. It's cumulative folder. And everyone always will have CUM and then like a fold. Usually it's in like the main office or something like that. I only know this because I was recently at a school and I saw CUM on a folder and I was like, what is that? I have a question, please. What is that? Why is that there? Right. Yeah, it's a cumulative folder. They couldn't have just done CUMU. You couldn't have cumulative. You couldn't have just written the whole word for that one. No. Okay. Um, First of all, I love the energy that you brought to that entire voice memo. I am obsessed. And also, I would pay so much money to be in the room when the translator had to say it. And like, I have a feeling probably like the parents maybe understood some, but can you imagine being in that scenario where you're like, you're listening, you're trying really hard to understand, and maybe you kind of understand when they say it in English, and then you get the opportunity to understand it again in your language and the levels of horror that would just build. And that kid who then is sitting there having a conversation with all of these adults that this happened in class. Oh, that is so horrifying. And like, I feel like it happens more often than any of us imagine, because when I posted about the time that I saw two kids kind of getting it on in class, there were a lot of people that were like, oh no, that's like, that can't possibly be happening. And then every time there's just hundreds of people, it happens all the time. Either themselves or with other people, because like kids really think they're invisible when they're sitting in a desk. I think genuinely that's what it is, in the same way that people think they're invisible when they're in their car and they're like picking their nose or doing other embarrassing things. Like, what what a dream it is to be in our profession. I talked about this at one of my shows the other day. Isn't it wild that we all went to school for years on end to be certified, to then have to write an email that says that a student is doing that in your like we there was trainings and stuff that we have had to go through, and then we get to be the person that's like, hey, little Billy was digging around down there. Just a lot of things happening down there. Like, what a world. What a life we lead. Thank you so much for that voice memo. It made me laugh so much. I do agree. It should have gone in the cumulative folder that this kid was doing it again, which is deeply horrifying. So hopefully he figured that out and he no longer does that, because that's a crime in every state once you're above a certain age. So, all right. When we get back, I'm going to share some super awesome resources. So don't leave. Okay. We'll be right back. Have you ever wondered what I would say if my mother and my administrators weren't watching every single thing I do on social media? Well, that's exactly what my stand-up show is, and I'm going to be coming to a town near you super soon. You can get tickets at educatorandrea.com/tickets. Welcome back, teacher besties. I'm sorry I used that tone with you before I left. That was a bit much, and I'm so sorry about that. But I do have a really great resource to share with you. It is edhelper.com. Okay, so now this one, there's a bunch of different worksheets, and it's mainly elementary, since that seems to be the vibe today that we're dealing with. Although hopefully the ski mask one was not from an elementary. Although actually maybe hopefully it was, because then probably they weren't like holding up a liquor store with a ski mask if they were in like fourth grade. But who knows? Kids grow up fast these days. If you go to edhelper.com, they have a bunch of different Mad Minutes. Guys, do you remember Mad Minutes? I got so excited when I came across this, because they are like, you have 1 minute to do as many math problems as you can. And I got so excited because it's like they've got it first through sixth grade. So the first grade ones are like, figure out the numbers to make 9, like, and you've got a 5 there and you have to be like, oh, it's 4 to get to 9, right? So it's stuff like that. It's all pretty simple, but even it's very nostalgic. So even if it's just for you, I do remember that though, man. Like, I remember getting excited, even though I hated math later in my educational career. I super loved those math minutes because I'm that what's the word? Competitive. Like, even if I was going to be bad at it. Same thing with some of the other ones. They have like preschool warm-up pages, tracing, like different math challenges, just a lot of extra stuff that they have. If you're like working on stuff with your kid at home and you're wanting to find something as well that's going to be helpful, it's got some options. They also have seasonal stuff. So they have like stuff for Thanksgiving and Halloween and Christmas and different holidays. So very, very fun. Check it out. I love a free resource like this. Practice for handwriting and sight words and all of that good stuff. So check that out. It looks super, super fun. All right. I have a hill I want to die on. And I think that's because I am now getting into the world of comedy. And I'm just going to give you that premise because anytime you have any level of success with anything, I feel like you have some haters that come around, right? And I've noticed this a little bit, but I'm noticing something really consistent, and this is why it's the hill I'm going to die on. The hill I'm going to die on is you don't get to be bitter about someone else's success if you are unwilling to do what they did to get there. You're not. Like, you can't do that. Like, right now, I am booking a lot of shows at comedy clubs, and I feel so incredibly fortunate. I am not blind to the fact that I am fortunate to have these opportunities, but it's not pure luck. Like, and it's this weird dichotomy where I will work with people in the entertainment industry who are working really hard on doing their stand-up, and that's so important, and I think that's incredible. But they're unwilling to post stuff online. And so they see somebody who hasn't been doing open mics for 10 years or hasn't been doing, the grind for 10 years, but has been making jokes on the internet and now has a headlining spot, and they get really bitter about that. And I'm like, guys, the internet's for free. The internet is for free. What is stopping you? What's stopping you? Don't be bitter that I have an opportunity you don't, if you haven't been doing the same thing for the past 5 years. Because I've been creating jokes every single day on the internet for 5 years. And no, I have not been doing stand-up for 5 years. And that's the thing too, is like, I also am like bummed for what they're missing out on and the opportunities they're missing out on, because they're like, oh, I don't want to do that piece. And it's like, okay, that's fair. In the same way that, like, my parents very much raised me in the way that, like, work really hard for the things that you want. And if you make a decision, then be okay with the consequences, good and bad, of that decision. Like, I wouldn't be jealous of someone who's like the governor or the mayor, because I don't want to be the governor or the mayor, and I'm unwilling to do the things that it would take to be in a position like that. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to, like, rain on someone else's parade. If I know good and well, I'm unwilling to do what they did to get there. Like, there are people who are absolutely way funnier at stand-up than I am. 1,000%. So many people are better at stand-up than me. So many people are better at content creation than me and are way, way bigger than I am. All of these people that have, like, these huge, huge platforms. And then I look at what they're doing, right? They're posting 5 times a day. They are missing dinner sometimes. There's all these comedians that are on the road. They're making easily 6 figures doing all of this stuff. And I'm like, that is incredible for them. I'm so happy for them, because I am unwilling to do what they're doing to reach where they're at. Does it, like, I have no bitterness about other people's success, because I know the cost that they have paid for, and I have respect for the sacrifices they made. So I'm not going to rain on their parade. I'm just simply not. So that's the hill I'm going to die on. If you have a story about your first year teaching, second year teaching, this week teaching, I want to hear about it, and you need to give it to us. All right. So you're going to go to podcasterandrea.com, click the little thing that says leave a voicemail. We would absolutely love to hear your story here on the podcast. Also, if you haven't yet pre-ordered my book, hold on, wait. They never taught us that. I forgot the name of my book, which will happen at this juncture of exhaustion. I told you guys, when I get less than like a solid 9 hours of sleep, I get grumpy and forgetful. So is what it is. They never taught us that. It is available everywhere. If you literally look up my name, Andrea Forkham, on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or anywhere like that, you will see my book pop up, and you'll see this podcast come up on Amazon, which is very cool. So go get the book right now. I will be doing book signings and all of that stuff anywhere that I'm showing up at once the book is officially out in May. But you want to make sure that you get it sooner rather than later. You want to be like the first one, obviously, to have my book. And if you have thoughts about what we chatted about today, you can email me, Andrea@human-content.com, or at Educator Andrea on TikTok and Instagram, or you can contact the whole Human Content Podcast family at Human Content Pods. And thank you so much to those of you guys who have left a review of the pod. If you haven't yet, get on it. That is your homework today. And you can catch the full video episodes up every single week on YouTube at Educator Andrea. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Andrea Forkham. Our executive producers are Andrew Forkham, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor is Andrew Sims. Our engineer is Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omer Ben-Zvi. Our recording location is the Indiana State by College of Education. To learn more about How to Survive the Classroom's program disclaimer and ethics policy and submission, verification, and licensing terms, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. How to Survive the Classroom is a human content production.
How to survive the classroom.
Thank you so much for watching. Want more of How to Survive the Classroom? You can watch more episodes right now. Just click on that little box over there. You see it? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.